Olá, boa tarde. Sejam bem-vindos de novo. Vamos agora passar para o próximo convidado. Uma salva de palmas para Alexis Taieb, vindo de Paris, França. Alexis Taieb é Tyrsa, um devoto da letra cujo percurso tem origem em 99, quando descobre o graffiti. O seu trabalho tem um cunho tipográfico muito forte, sendo a letra o ponto de partida para a resposta gráfica aos projetos em mãos. Trabalhos esses, apreciados por várias agências de comunicação francesas, Rscg, Publicis, DDB e Sid Lee. Tyrsa tem como objetivo reinventar a letra sem nunca lhe anular o significado, a sua intensidade estética.
Please welcome to Tyrsa.
Hello everyone. Oh, it works. So, thank you. I'm really happy to be here today. This is my first time in Portugal. My whole first time. Oh, I don't want to show you now. Oh. It's not me. So it's my first time in Portugal. Unfortunately, I'm here only for 2 days. That's it. I would love to visit more, but I won't have time. So for today, I'm here for the conference and workshop, and I really want to thank you, all of you, because the teachers told me that they ask you to say who you want to be here this year for the conference, and so some of you say me, Tyrsa. I'm like, what? you know my work. You know I'm from France, from Paris, and I'm working in my little studio every day. And from where I am, it's really hard to understand and to be able to realize that people know my work, even in Portugal, all over the world. So I really want to thank you, all of you. And they say that my work sometimes, not for all of you, but some inspire you. So it's really crazy for me. I will show you all my work, the process of my work. I will show you how did I started doing typography. Why? Because of graffiti first. I will show you some graffiti. And so, you know, I started doing graffiti more than 15 years ago. So when I started doing this, my parents hated me doing graffiti because it was illegal for sure, but I started doing something that I really loved. You know, it wasn't a real passion for me. And I was 15. I was like, I wasn't a big rebel. You know, I wasn't like a bad young person. You know, trying to do bad things and to say no to the parents. I just wanted to do something that I like, and graffiti was something that I really liked. And it's crazy to realize that thanks to graffiti, then typography, I'm here in front of you and to show you my work and hope to really inspire you. But first, before I start, I just want to say also that I visit the school a bit. I just visit a few of the class, and you have a really beautiful school here, really. Like when I was a student 10 years ago, I didn't have all these materials, all these things. I know that you can do silk screen, I know that you can do a lot of different stuff, but in Paris, even if I did a really beautiful school, a great school, I didn't have all this chance to start. And I think it's really good for you because you can experiment, you can try different stuff, and for you later, I know that you will say, I was at a really good school. So I'm going to talk about what I told you. So for me, my career, everything that I've done, everything starts with graffiti, like everything. You will see it's the beginning of something really important for me. The fact of discovering, you know, the colors, the shape, everything. So my graffiti was like a more traditional New Yorker graffiti, you know. I was really inspired by New York graffiti because, you know, I was into hip-hop culture a lot. I was rapping, but you don't have to talk about it. Forget about it. I was, like, you know, I tried to be a DJ. I tried a lot of things, but when I discovered graffiti, I felt really comfortable with it, you know. And because I love to draw since I was really young. So I discovered that graffiti was really interesting because, you know, you take a letter, then you have a structure of a letter, and then you try to change the letter to make something like aggressive if you want, something bold, something the way you want. So it was the first time that I was able to draw my first letters. So here it's maybe complicated to read, but it's satire, S-A-T-Y-R. And in France, we say bisounours on the right. It's the beer. I don't know how you say it in Portuguese. But I liked at this moment to draw a character and then to put my letters colors. So as you can see, you know, the letters was hard to read. When you don't do graffiti, it can be hard to read. But for me, you know, I'm used to it, so I can read satire, and most of people doing graffiti can read it. So I made a lot of different murals like this. With, for example, this is murals that I did with a friend, one of my closer friends, named Ilk, Y-I-L-K. So on the left, you can see it's my letters. On the right, it's his letters. So we have really two different styles, really different. Mine was really aggressive. His were much more rounded. And down, we have mixed our letters. For example, on the left, the H is his letter. The A is my letters. If you read a A and a H, it's my letter. So it's much cut and aggressive for me and much rounded for him. So it was the beginning of something important for me. That was the collaboration. Collaboration was really important. We spend days with friends, and sometimes when the weather is good, we're having barbecues and we are painting, and it's a great thing, you know. So since that, you know, I changed my name, because I don't know if you know this in French, but when you have a word, you just exchange the two syllables, like satire. Satire means Tyrsa. So you exchange the letters. So now it became Tyrsa, T-Y-R-S-A, instead of satire, S-A-T-Y-R. Because everyone called me Tyrsa. Like they didn't call me satire, they called me Tyrsa. So more and more, I started doing painting this name instead of satire, and my letters became more and more simple. I don't know why, but I wanted to have something a bit more simple than I did before. So this is the beginning of everything for me, because, you know, as you can see, my letters try to be always different, to have different shape, to have different, to be sometimes aggressive, sometimes more rounded. And every time, you know, I spend a lot, hours sketching at home before I did those graffiti. And after that, so I studied at Gobelin. Gobelin is a really famous school in Paris, in France. I was really fortunate to go there, and I was able to make like nice visual like this. So it's not something I'm showing you, not something that I'm proud today. You know, I cannot say I won't put it on Instagram today. No, I just show it to you because it's important for you to understand how I did this. You know, and you realize that the colors I use on graffiti, all the colors I used it on my first job. You know, my first work at school. So it was really funky at this moment, you know, a lot of green, yellow, pink, a lot of different colors like this. So this was really interesting because during this year at Gobelin, we had like a competition between all the students. So every time that we have a new brief, we had the brief, and then we had to make our own project. Then we show it to the teachers, and then the teachers choose one project that will be released for real. So it was the poster for the opening doors of the school. So I did a lot of typography going out of the hoodie like this, just to say that the hoodie is gray, it's boring, like the building of the school is boring, but inside it's happening, so much things are happening. So this is one of the projects that I made when I was at school, and school was really interesting for me because I only knew graffiti before I went to school. My only knowledge about art was graffiti, and that's it. Like, I know how to work with colors, I know how to work with shape, but I know nothing at all about art, about graphic design, and all this stuff. So thanks to graffiti, to school, sorry, I discovered what was illustration, what was typography, what was art, and it was really interesting for me. It allowed me to bring all these references and to mix it with graffiti and to do my own style. But first, I did, my first clients was really like friends of mine, you know. Like I did some project for a friend which is a DJ, and I did flyers, I did a lot of different stuff like this. Like From Here to Fame was a crew that we had, and we did a lot of different parties in Paris. And so it was, for me, my first project, personal project. And I wanted to bring some typography into this project and to add the same colors that you see, the pink, the green, all the colors that you see before, and to do something really dynamic. So I did visuals like this or visuals like this. So it's funny because it makes less than 10 years, like 8 years that I've done this, I guess, something like this. And I still feel comfortable with it, like it's still my thing, doing typography to illustrate my typography. This is, from the fame type, you see the hand or you see a foot that represent the hip hop, the DJ, the sneakers. And it's something that I'm still comfortable with. I won't put it in Instagram also, but I still like it, and I think it still defines my style today. And it was really, I was still a student at this moment when I did this job. After leaving school, I did those other flyers like this. So as you can see, the colors was a bit the same. I love teal colors and green colors like this. And then after leaving school, I wanted to be freelancer as soon as I finished school, because I realized that I wasn't the kind of guy who would like to have a boss. And I love to make so much different projects. Like for me, it was important to be a freelancer. And thanks to, maybe remember the guy I show you the graffiti I made with him, Ilk, is one of my best friends. He was already in an agency, and he told me, oh, you have to go in this agency to make an internship in these agencies. And so I worked in different agencies with him. And at the beginning, it wasn't funny at all. Like it was like bad banners like this. It wasn't funny at all. So as you can see, it was for Canal+. It's a French channel, and I had to do the banners to promote the channel. So I'd make screen by screen. On each screen, then a guy was here to animate the screens. So it wasn't funny, but you cannot see what I'm doing today. You can see typography that I like. The type l'exclu internet. I just was able to put it on this direction, but I wasn't able to do something that I really like. But it was really interesting to do it, because I really understood what was a brief, what was a client, what was feedbacks from a client. And so you can see like a different web design I did for Peugeot, for example, or for Dulux Valentin, the painting company. So this is more funny, but I think that's really important to start by this, to understand how to react with a client, how to speak with a client, in an agency you have a lot of different people in an agency, like the commercial, like the creative directors, and I think that was really interesting for me, not for the work, and because I wasn't able to show really what I really liked, but it was a really good school because I was able to understand how to do a campaign, advertising campaign, how to do websites. And so yeah, I was a freelancer, and I started doing freelance at different agencies, some big agencies, some small agencies. And at the same moment, I tried to develop my own project also. So I had a lot of projects, with friends, doing graffiti, doing like flyers, like I showed you. And I call it my own project, but it was for one of my best friends who have a restaurant in Paris, and he asked me to do a logo of the restaurant. To be honest, it was one of my first projects as a graphic designer, trying to show my own work. So it was like, it wasn't paid at all. Like he paid me with burgers, But it was okay for me, I didn't ask for too much. I earned some money with the agencies, and I wanted to make something cool because my friend who has this restaurant was close to my house, and I went a lot in this restaurant. So I think it was really interesting for me to start working on this identity. So the name was Barbershop, and the place when you say, okay, let's do a new logo with you. I really was inspired by the place because the place is a mix between old barbershop, old diner, American diner, and old brasserie, a French brasserie. And so I was like, okay, I'll try to mix the two identity, to mix the US American identity and the French Parisian identity. So that's why I did a really bold barbershop type like this with Paris. The Paris was much more elegant, much more, I think, European and Parisian style. And this is one of the first job that I made, and people, it was crazy because the restaurant is huge. So like maybe more than 300 person can come every day. So at the end of a month, you calculate and you're like, okay, I think that more than 1,000 people saw this work. And it was crazy because it's the first time he really trusted me, It's one of my best friends, so I had done a lot of feedbacks. I sent the logo, I said, what do you think? He said, okay, it's cool, okay, let's do it. And then I was able to do whatever I wanted to do. So that's the good part with that kind of project. You don't get paid, but you can do whatever you want to do. And it was really, really funny because I was able to do everything on the menu and on the windows, every typography that you can see everywhere, the menus like this. So it was a big thing, like the card, visit card also. I tried to find the good shape that fits perfectly to the place, and even on the menu. So I wanted to bring something different on the menu. I wanted to have like an experience for someone, who opened the menu. So the people was able to see what was on the menu. Obviously, they have to understand what they're gonna hit. But I wanted also to show what I like the most is like letters, illustration, and stuff. So I made in the back of the menu, I make a big illustration named barbershop. So I draw everything with a pencil. I draw most of all the letters like they look to be gravitating on the menu, and then I took a lot of photos of the place and like the salt, like the beer, like the couch, and I draw it with the pencil, and I make everything gravitating like this to see what's the feeling of the restaurant. So since that, it's the kind of thing that I've done. It was one of the first time that I really did like drawings with pencils. It was one of the first time, and I took a lot of time doing it. So I was at the agency. I show you the banners, the bad banners that I did, and at night I came back home and I did like drawings like this. So for example, this one was like maybe 2 nights of drawings. So you can believe that all the other ones was really long. But it was really, I wasn't thinking about the burgers that he will give me. I was just thinking about showing my work and be able to express myself and show my work to all the clients that will be there. So this is the kind of drawing that I did for them. And since that, so the restaurant is a big success. Every time there is so much people in this restaurant, it's crazy. And thanks to that, I realized that people knew my work for this job in Paris. A lot of people say, you did the identity of the barbershop. The restaurant is really nice. And I realized that I was really comfortable with working on hand lettering, working with pencils, working with different tools like this. And before, I just studied with computers, and I like computers, but I really love to draw on paper like this. So I started working a lot of different lettering on papers, a lot. Never stop doing it, because I realized that this is what people really like. I really like to do it, but before showing this kind of project, I did every project that I'm working on. I'm first working on a sketch like this, but at the beginning I didn't want to show it because I was like, okay, I think people don't care about this kind of drawings. So I didn't show it. And since barbershop and since this kind of work, I realized that people really like when it's handmade. And so I was like, okay, so now I'm going to show it to the person, to the people that follow my work. And I worked a lot on different letters, different shape, and I tried to experiment a lot of different tools also. Like this one, for example, was full with pencil. but it was like I wanted to find a new texture, to find something new on my letters, because I work on a lot of different shape of typography, try to experiment my letters like I did with graffiti, but I wanted to add something different. And I was like, okay, let's try to mix the illustration and the letters. Let's try to do it. So I have some job like this for iBeast. It's a nice blog, and they asked me to make a type for them. So I'm like, okay, let's try something. Let's try to mix, the illustration, what I like to do with illustration, like I show you in barbershop, and to mix with the typography. So I made a lot of different typography like this with texture, and I try to make it with pencil, sometimes with a black pen, with a lot of different tools like this. So this one was it was like a tail of a monkey, and I use a really thin rotring, the architect pen to make it. So it was funny because it wasn't only just a word that you can read; it was also an illustration, something that you can see and appreciate, not only something that you read. So it was really funny for me and to experiment and try different shape like this. Or even having, I had a lot of different references. So tattoo was a really big influence for me. As you can see, the flower on the left is really tattoo style, and the ribbon on down, and the dots are really a lot of tattooing process, tattooing aesthetic. So I was really influenced by this kind of aesthetic, and like in engravement, a lot of different aesthetic like this. And other type like this I was really inspired by the engravements. So when you do a shade and you do just thin lines like this, I made a lot of illustration with that kind of feeling, because it remind me old illustration that I really like. And I thought that mixing a modern typography with an old school process like this was really inspiring. That kind of thing also. I wanted to mix, the really Parisian, the really bold type, the really elegant type, to mix it with the old aspect of the illustration. So I made a lot of black and white drawing like this. And like this one, I'm going to show you. So it was like a nice job that I had with Volkswagen. It was one of the cool clients who ask you to do what you like. So they see your job, and they say, okay, we like the way you work with the handmade thing. We'd like to make a campaign with you. And so I was able to do a drawing that I really like, because if I can show you, I cannot go back. No problem. But if you remember the drawing at the end, it's something that I will be able to do it for a personal project. And it's a client like Volkswagen, the company, who asked me to do something for them, to sell, to talk about their brands with my own style. So it's really something I thought crazy, because I'm just experimenting things, and people ask me now for big brands to make things like this. It's a really great feeling to be able to do it. So I kept working a lot on drawings, because I never stop drawing. I try to draw the more I can. And I made logos like this, like Suzy Winkle logos. And at the end, the logos who was shoes is the one on top left. I made this way, and the creator of the brand say, okay, we have to keep the feeling of the end, and we have to keep the pen aspect. And it was crazy, because normally I thought that a logo was always in a vector file, really clean file. And so we made all the identity with only pencil. It was really interesting. So I realized that creating logos is something that I really like, and it's really like you sum up all the information of a company, you try to sum up everything in one little sign, and it's something that I really love to do. And I realized that I was able to combine everything that I did with illustration, with the drawings that I made. I was ready to combine the logos, the identity, and my work and made. So I was able to do few logos, like for a French channel named O5. I was able to do a lot of logos and made. And I realized that people now ask me only for handmade stuff and lettering, and only logos. If it's done on the computer, they don't want it. Because they found that my style was doing logos only by hand. And so that's what I did, and I take a lot of fun. You know, it was really a lot of pleasure for me to do logos handmade, to try some shape with the lettering, with the pencils. And even that kind of logos for JR, it's a French photographer. He asked me to make this logo, 99 prints. And my reference was like the same reference I showed you before, the engrave, you know, with the thin lines who make the shades. And so I was able to make this. I thought it was only for illustration, but in a logo it works pretty well also. So this was the logo for the company of JR. Or this is the logo for a restaurant that I made. So it's really funny, you know, because you can experiment a lot with pencil. You can do it, you know. I spend a lot of time because I show you this drawing. It looks good, you know, the shape are good, but I take a lot of time. Before this, I don't know how many, but so much different preparatory drawings, like really quick ones that I first do really quickly. Then when I think the shape is good, I try to bring it to something better. And at the end, you have that kind of project. So this is a lot of different logos I made these last few years. So you can see there is a lot of different aspects of my work. Some are really like old school references. Some are more with brush. Some are more clean, like the yard, the FALD, are more clean and solid. But this is something that I love to do. Doing logos, summing up every values of a company, of a brand, of everything in one only logos. It's something that I really love. And I realized that working black and white is something that allows you to show if the logo is good or not. Sometimes you try to put some colors, a lot of things around, but if the logo doesn't work in black and white, forget about it, it won't work. Because you have to first try to put it in black and white. And sometimes, you know what, I spend hours on a logo, then I put it on black and white, and I'm like, oh no, it doesn't work. So I always, before working on colors, I always put it on black and white. And thanks to all this job, thanks to the barbershop, all this logo I made, I was able to work with brands that I really like. And that's something really crazy for me, to realize that brands that you like, because, you know, I like clothes, I like all these things, and when a guy that has a brand call you to do something that you like for his brand, it's like a big honor for me. And I remember that barbershop was a cool experience because you have a lot of different clients from everywhere. And close to barbershop, there is the office of a brand named Bleu de Paname. It's a French brand that I really like, and I like the guys who work with them. And they saw my menu, they saw everything I did for the barbershop, and they asked me to make a logo for them. So it was Ici c'est Paname. So it means here it's Paris. Paname means Paris, and it's like a line that you say when you like football. You know, like I'm a Paris Saint-Germain fan, and this is something that you say when you are in the crowd, saying Ici c'est Paris. So they asked me to make this T-shirt, and it was crazy because, you know, they asked me to do whatever I want. They say, okay, so the line is Ici c'est Paname. Try to work it the way you want it. And so I was like, okay, this line is like a football, you know, it's like bold, it's like Ici c'est Paris. And, you know, I thought that to have a mix with something more elegant, to have a mix with old school references could match perfectly. So I made this illustration, and it was like on a T-shirt in different colors, and it was really funny because I was ready to show my work into a brand that I really like and I really appreciate and that I wear myself. So it was crazy. And after that, I have a beautiful brand. They asked me, I guess they knew Blood Panam. They asked me to make T-shirts also. The name is Carhartt. It's a bit more famous than Blood Panam. And when they called me, I was like, wow, it's crazy because Carhartt is a brand that I wear since I'm really young. And they asked me to make logos for T-shirts for them. And I think that's a real good thing, So most of the time when you work for that kind of brand, there is not a lot of money involved also. But it's not a problem, You really want to do it because you like the brand, you like the identity of the brand, and I felt that it was part of me, part of my DNA, to work with that kind of brands that I really like. And they let me, with Carhartt, it was crazy because the art director was really nice, and he said, do what you want. I was like, really? You want me to do what I want? It's weird. I never had this kind of brief. And so I made a lot of different sketches, and he chose between maybe 5 different sketches, and I finished these files. So I was able to make drawings like this, for example. And this is the reference of this one. So the guys of Carhartt liked it because I think it's the mix between all the identity and, it's like the old lettering process, And it was really cool for me. It was the first time that I made this reference. I put this reference because that's something that I really like, the old process of printing, of lettering. It's something that I really like. So I made it for Carhartt, and they made a T-shirt with it. And it's crazy because you're able to draw something that you like, and then you see it on the street on the person that have it on his T-shirt. So it's really something that is crazy for me. And as you can see, just before I show you the fact that I try to experiment a lot with pencil, with a pen, with black pen, but I try to experiment more and more because I think that typography is something that I love. I really love to do typography, but I think that I will be a bit bored if I do only the same style or only the same tools. So I try to experiment a lot, and I've made, for example, this kind of type with a color pencil. So it was not a brief, it was like the project with a friend of mine. It's an illustrator, his name is Hugo Gattoni, and he had an exhibition, and he wanted to make a visual with me, an artwork with me, and so we was like, okay, let's try to combine his work, because his work is crazy, He's doing like animals, really details, really realistic animals with pen. And I was like a bit like complex, like, are you sure you want to do it with me? Because I'm not able to make something as realistic as him. So I try to focus and say, okay, let's try to do something that can fit with his work. So he's doing really realistic stuff. And I try to work with color pencils. So it was the first time that I made a job with color pencil. And at the end, we had these visuals. We combined both of our drawings. Before being here and before being here, obviously we tried a few things on Photoshop. So he drew the peacock really quickly. I drew the ribbon quickly, and then we tried to put it on Photoshop. And we're like, okay, it works. So now let's finish the things. As I told you before, the collaboration is really important for me, even when I do barbecue in graffiti with my friend, even when I'm doing collaboration with illustrators like this. And so since that, I tried to keep working with color pencils to make illustrations like this. And I thought it was really something new for me, something really interesting, because I was able to keep working on my letters, but trying to put it in a different perspective, something that you not just want to read, but something you have to see, like the illustration I already show you. So I made a lot of different tools like this. This is a combination with a color pencil and pencil. So I tried, before what I show you is like the finished work, but I had a lot of different preparatory drawings before that. For example, for the shade, the shade from the A to the S, I tried to do it in a small part of a paper, and even for the ribbon, you're seeing it this way, but I have a lot of papers where trying to make just a little bit of the ribbon just to see if it's okay, if it's going to be good or not. So I really try to experiment a lot like this. This is it's a peaceful visual. I made it, I made this, it's funny because I made this visual just a bit before the attacks in Paris. I guess you heard about the attacks in Paris, which was a really hard time for Parisian people like me, young Parisian people, because it happened just close to my house. And I was, it was a bit crazy because I was just between the feeling between the hate and love, I had so much hate against the terrorists, but I wanted only one thing, is being with my closer friend, with my girlfriend, with all my friends, being really just thinking about love. And so this feeling, it was a bit the mess in my head, and I wanted to express it by this visual. But this is something, like you have hate, you have love. It's a message really, like it's a peaceful message, really. But I wanted to experiment also the fact that, okay, I'm drawing with sometimes spending hours in drawings, trying to be realistic or not too much, and then having a type much bolder, much more spontaneous on this drawing was something that looked really interesting for me and really express what I wanted, my feeling at this moment. Sometimes, you're doing stuff really spontaneously. Like this is the way I did this job. And a few months after the attack, right now, I'm like, okay, it's still cool. Because sometimes you do something, it's really spontaneous, and we're like, well, why I did this? I don't understand why I did this. But this one was important for me. And that kind of experiment, this is crazy because I went to Japan like 2 years ago. And about, I don't know what it was first. I went in different shops, and I saw like what they said, screen tones. Screen tones is what they use to make mangas, to design manga. So they draw with a black pencil, and to make the shades, they use different screen tones. So it's different shape, like you have some shades, you have some black dots, some really close dots that make something really gray, really dark, something more clear. And so I was like, okay, I bought a lot. I don't know why, but I bought a lot of these screen tones. So it's a A4 format. And I was like, okay, let's do something maybe with typography and mix typography with these screen tones. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. So when I came back from Japan, I had few times to experiment a bit. And I said, okay, let's try to cut the screen tones. So like I said, it's an A4 format, and do something with it. So as you can see on the top, I cut a lot of different papers like this. And then, first I make the sketch, as you can see, for the bee here. Then I took all the screen tones, so I have maybe like 15 different screen tones. Some are really black, some are really clear, some are really light. And I try to do something interesting with it. So you know what? It's something that it's still at my office. I've never done anything with it, but I just wanted to experiment. And I think that to experiment is something that is really important. In my everyday life, I have a lot of clients, I have a lot of work, and I don't have time to experiment. So sometimes you just say, okay, stop those work and try to be focused on job like this. And it was just, I spent a lot of time on it, but it was just, I wanted to experiment, and I think it's really important for your health, for myself. Because when you work for advertising, it can be sometimes really tough, really hard. I know that I'm really lucky to have some agencies that call me and ask me to make a big advertising. I know it's a great thing, And the best thing is when they ask you to do your own thing. They say, okay, we like this job, try to do something that really corresponds to you, your feelings. So I had this brief from Nivea. Nivea is the brand, for cream, and I don't use it for sure. But they asked me to make an illustration for them. So it was typography, and I think you cannot really read it was in French, but it talked about the fact that it was, like I don't know how to say it, but it's for a cream for the person who are old and want to look younger. So it's not me at all, really. But so they asked me to make, they give me the lines, and they say, okay, let's try to, can you please try to to work on something that like you want, something you like, something bold, like your work is most of the time is bold. I like, when there is a 3D, when it's really bold like this. And even for the colors, they say you are free to do the colors you like. And so I did what I really like, So it was the drawings, and as you can see, the sketch look really close. If you see this sketch and then you go back to the one on the left, it's exactly the same. So I send it to the clients, to the agency, and say, okay, what you think? They say, okay, we love it, you can do it. So I made the one on the left. And then they say, okay, it's okay, so you can do the one on the right with a different line. The problem is that sometimes it's happening at maybe 1 week before it goes to publication. The clients say, oh, finally it's too hard, too complicated to read. So maybe can you do something more simple without the 3D, without something really more simple? And I was like, oh no, I don't want to do it again. I really liked it. It really fits to what I like, and it's really something I love. And they say, no, but the client doesn't want it no more. It will be on the front cover of a magazine, and it should be really easy to read. And maybe say, I don't know why he say, at the beginning say, okay, it's okay, we like it, it's okay. But 1 week just before, he said, no, finally we don't want. So he wanted something more simple, so I made this. So as you can see, it's really more simple than the one I did before. And they really liked it. They say, okay, it's exactly what we want. So I spent weeks and weeks working on the first ones. I spent only a few days on this one. But finally, the client preferred this one. So sometimes it's really hard, It's hard because you really like the artwork you made. You're so happy to show it to your mother, to your friends. And then at the end, you do something. I'm still comfortable with it, but what I wanted to show was much more the drawing I showed you before. But it's part of the job. When you agree, when you say, okay, let's do this campaign, you have to know that it's part of the thing. Because, for example, I want to show you this project that is really something like, it talks about advertising. It's the same process, because the feedbacks of a client can be sometimes really boring, but it's part of the job and you have to accept it. For example, I had this campaign from McDonald's, so it was in France. They had the campaign for the McFlurry Oreo, really like this one. And they asked me to make the campaign of it. So they say, okay, we're going to shoot the McFlurry in a white pot, and we want you to make an illustration about it on the pot. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So they say you can do with different Oreos, you can do a type, you can do whatever you want, something that you like. So honestly, the brief was this one, like something I like. So it's crazy because to do something with a big brand like McDonald's and to do what you like is a bit crazy. So I send this first visual, and they say, okay, but we guess there is a bit too much of Oreos right here. So I made only one Oreo, like this. And they really appreciate this one also. They say, okay, maybe we like the one on the right, and something happened a lot is like when they have two different tracks, and they want to mix the two tracks. So they say, okay, we like the fact that there is only one Oreo on the right, but we like the type McFlurry on the left, so can you please combine both? So I combined both. And then, so this is, as you can see, it's something that I made with a pencil. I first made it with pencil, then I scan it, then I put the colors on Photoshop. That's why it doesn't look like pencil, because the colors, it's colored with Photoshop. And so he liked this one, and it finally was this visual what was released. So as you can see, I tried to, it's exactly the same than the sketch, just the color of the Oreo on the left was too brown. I had to be more closer than the reality. And then, the type, I tried to work the type really clean and to have something really, really clean, not as the sketch. And this is a great thing, when you have some feedbacks like this. It was not this project, there is not so much feedbacks, it was okay. But the good part of this kind of job is when you see it everywhere in Paris. So it was everywhere in Paris. My mother was able to see it. My friends was able to see it. And this is something really, really important for me, to be able to share my work and to be able to put something that I really like into a campaign, advertising campaign, like for McDonald's, for example. So dealing with feedback is complicated, but it's, as I said, once again, it's part of the job, and you have to accept it. And this one is a funny project, and I want to show you the process, because it was rosé. It was a champagne for Moet et Chandon, so the French brand Moet et Chandon. They asked me to make the type for the packaging of the champagne rosé, and they just say, okay, let's try to make a ribbon type. So I think that they asked me to do it because they saw, the one I made with a color pencil I showed you before. They knew that I was able to make some ribbon type. So they asked me to do it, and I make a lot of different ribbon type, a lot. I will show you only a few, but there is much more than what I'm showing to you. So I first did this one. I wanted, to make something really elegant. So I tried to make this shape down the R. The problem is that it wasn't connected. All the shape was not connected. So they say, okay, can you please connect only one ribbon? Because just before it was two ribbons. The R and the O was not connected. So they say, can you please connect the ribbon? So I tried to connect it. But the problem is that I think it's because of my graffiti knowledge. I tried to make something really too dynamic for them. So they were like, okay, I think it's too dynamic for us. The R looked like a tag, like it was graffiti or something. I mean, for me, it's not graffiti, but for them, that's what they say. So they say, can you please come down and do something maybe more clean? So I tried to make the R with not capital letters, but this kind of letters. So I said, okay, I think it's too... They wasn't really able to know what they didn't like it. I remember the feedback was not really clear at all. It was like, I think it's too dynamic, we don't really know, can you try something else? So it was a big mess, but I tried to do something as they want, less dynamic, so maybe it was too condensed, so it was something too dynamic. So I tried to calm down, but they say, hey, you didn't connect the two ribbons. I said, okay, I forgot to connect the two ribbons. And I'm like, oh, I have an R who goes so far away. How can I connect the R and the O? So I connected this way, but for them it didn't work at all. For me, as a graffiti, as a tag, it looks well, it works. But for them it was like too messy. So they say, okay, can you calm down a bit and so do something less dynamic? So I make something this way. And it's happened a lot of times since the first two drawings I show you, and there are more and more drawings that I didn't show you. But since this one, they say, okay, we like it, but it's not really 100% exactly what we want. We don't know why, but maybe you can change the shape of the S, maybe. And I take a lot of time from this drawing to the next one I'm going to show you. There is more than 2 weeks of feedbacks. So 2 weeks after that, I send this. So there is not a lot of difference. And they say, oh, it's exactly what we want. Okay, it's what we want. So, okay, they agree, they accept the drawing. So now it makes more than 1 month that I'm working on it, and I'm like, okay, now I have to finish it. And so I work the shape on Illustrator. Then I put it on Photoshop and doing all the shades and the lights. And I did this visual. So from the sketch to this, it's really close, It's really close. I try to, because they accept it with so much, not a lot of difference. So I'm like, if I do it on Illustrator and I just change one shape, they'll say, oh no, we don't want this way. So I try to be the more closer than what I send to them. And they agree, they accept the drawing. And so I think more than 1 year after that, the packaging was released, because most with this kind of brand it's really long, the process is really long. But this was finally the packaging that was released. It was crazy for me because it's packaging that I was able to see everywhere when I was traveling during 1 year. It was everywhere in the airport, everywhere. So I went in Croatia, I went in Estonia, in small countries like this, and I was able to see my type in the packaging. So it's a long process for the feedback, for stuff, but when it's finished, when it's released, you know, for Christmas, I bring it to my mother's house and we drink it together. And it's really cool, you know. So it's a long process, but you have to accept it, and it's part of the job. Sometimes people see only this and say, oh, your job is really nice. You say, okay, you don't know that the 1 month before I was like, it was so hard to work with it. But this is a kind of great artwork that I made. And today I'm really proud of it because, you know, it was a big struggle. So since that, you know, something that happened a lot when you do a visual that a lot of people can see, because a lot of blogs talked about this packaging. There is a problem that clients like it and can call you to say, oh, we really like what you did with Moet et Chandon, the rose type, can you do the same? And you're like, oh, no, I don't want to do exactly the same. I hope the process won't be the same. But now, since that, you know that it won't be the same struggle because they like the rose type and they want something that looks like. So it's not, you know, I don't want to do it this way. Every time I say to a client, when you say, we really like this project, can you do the same? I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do the same. I want to, please, can we try to do something a bit different? So I always try, I send a lot of different sketches. But the problem is that most of the time, when you send the sketches, he's like, no, but I like the rose type, I want the same. So it happened a lot after that, like for a video clip for Ellie Goulding, for the song Burn. So they say, we like the rose type, please, can you do it? So I did this another way, but they say, no, we really want something that looks like rose. So I did this type. Then I have this thing for the Grammy Awards. It wasn't accepted at the end, it was a rejected proposal. But they say, we really like the rose type, can you do the same? So I try to do the same, just we change the colors. And then, you know, I have another brief from Bucherer. It's a jewelry brand in France. And they say, can you do the same than rose, but now it's much longer. So I did this for them. So, you know, it's a bit, you know, I can say it's a problem. It's not an issue because when you do nice projects, people for sure they can understand what you do and they're like, okay, it really fits perfectly to my brand, to what I want to show. So I think it's fair from them. But the struggle every time is to try to bring the idea in a different place when the client is not ready. So for these 3 projects, I tried, but at the end, it finally looked like the rose type I did. But I think that this is, even for me, you know, I think it's really important to try every time, to make something different and to try to experiment. Sometimes the client will say, no, that's not what I want. You spend 2 days on something that, no, I don't want because I wanted to have the rose type. But I think it's important for me to keep experimenting, trying things. But it's part of the job also, you know. Like another part of the job is the competition. This is something that's happened with, most of the time is when it's a big brand, when it's cool brand, they love to make competition with different designers. So sometimes it's pretty hard because you're working a lot, like you spend 2 weeks on a competition, you try to do something that you like, that the client will like, but you like maybe it won't be released, maybe the client won't like it, and you won't see your project. But I think it's part of the job if you want to have to work with good clients like the one I'm going to show you. So this client is Nike. They asked me from the HQ of Nike, from Portland, asked me to work on the half marathon of Washington. They say, okay, you are 3 different designers. We want you to try to do different logos. And the one we like the most will win the competition, and then we will release the logos. So you know what? They asked me, I think for it was like Tuesday, and they asked me to send the day after, Wednesday at night. So I didn't sleep at all. I was like, okay, I really want to do it. And it was the first time I was able to work with Nike, and it's a brand that I really like. So I wanted to be really involved and to do it the best way I can. So they say, here is the brief. You're free to do a lettering, the style you want. We just had to write Nike Women's Half Marathon DC 2014. So I made a lot. I will show you not everything because I didn't sleep, so I did a lot. And even ones that I don't really like those. So this is the ones I appreciate the most. So 6 different, and every time, you know, they wanted to have something really bold, not too feminine every time, because it's the problem when they're doing something for women, they don't want to do something too feminine, you know. So sometimes I try to add like a bold typography and to mix with more elegant type. So I try to do a lot, the more I can, because I wanted to win the competition, and I know that it was for like the half marathon of Washington is something really cool. So I did this, and they really appreciate the one on the top. So they called me to say that I won the competition, and then this one on the top is the one they really like. So I made this way. They didn't like the bird on top. I liked it, but they didn't. So I made this way. So I win the competition. It was really cool, you know, because you're working like you don't sleep, and you send all the projects, and then they say, okay, we really like it, and it's really good part, you know, when it's a good feeling, you know. So I made this identity, and it was the first time I worked with Nike. For me, it was crazy because I didn't thought that I will be able on my work to work with such a big brand like this. And it was everywhere in Washington, D.C., you know. Everywhere, all the identity of the half marathon was there. And you can see in the streets, everywhere, you know. I made an whole alphabet for them, a type font that I made for the identity. It's the same than the Nike women's type on the top. So I made the whole alphabet, so they were able to make different, to combine the letters and to write finished, rerun DC. So the whole identity was everywhere in Washington. So, you know, I worked it in my small studio in Paris, and you can see it everywhere in Washington. So it's a great feeling, you know, to be able to do that kind of job. And even it was on the sneakers also. As you can see on the tongue of the sneaker, you can see the logo. So you're like, okay, I didn't sleep, but I think that it worth it. It's really worth it. This is another competition I had with Nike. So I don't know if you understand what means to provoque le destin, to provoke destiny. And they call me and they say, okay, we really like what you did with the marathon. We want you to still do another competition. So at the beginning I was a bit angry because I'm like, okay, I won the competition, maybe you can, I'm not able to make another competition and to be sure to win it. They say, no, it's part of the process. With Nike, it's always the same. You know, you have to make a competition. You have to do the test against different typographers. So this one was the same process. They call me and they say, okay, you only have like 2 days only to make the more type you can about provoque le destin. So they asked me to make only the type provoque le destin. And I was like, okay, I will do the type font. So maybe I will be able to, I will have more chance to win the competition. So they say we want something more spontaneous, like with marker, like stuff like this. And I was really comfortable with it because it's something that I did when I did graffiti. You know, when I was younger, I did a lot of tags, and so I was really comfortable with it. And I took a lot of different marker, like some dry, some really with a lot of acrylic inside, sometimes with ink. I try to make a lot of different type like this. Sometimes, you know, it's dry on the right. Sometimes it's this way on the left with a lot of waters I put. So I try to make a lot, the more I can in the 2 days I have to do it. And then I did this one with spray cans. So working with spray cans, it's more hard because you're not with a A3 format in front of your office. With a spray can in my office, I'm not able to do it because it smells really bad. I mean, it smells good for me, but not for the guys who work there. So I had to do it outside, and I tried to make a complete type font with the spray cans. And I was like, okay, they want me to make something with a marker. Let's try to do with a spray can, something they are not. I think they're not expecting this from me, but I will try this way. And thanks to this type, I won the competition, and they say, okay, we really like the spray can aspect, you know, because it's the aspect is really cool, you know, with the little dots that you can see with the shade and with the spray can. So they really liked it. And they say, okay, but we want to change a bit the type. So they asked me to find a place, and they rent a studio, like on the left down. They rent like a big white studio to make the typography. So I made a lot of Provoque le Destin with precans. I made a lot of precans. And then they asked me finally, oh, maybe you can do the whole alphabet. I was not supposed to do the alphabet, but I was like, okay, I can do it. So I did it in my office, on top, and on the left, on top, it's my office. So I took a big roll of paper, and I made a lot of different letters like this. So they really appreciate this one, but I had a lot of feedbacks, and the problem is that having feedbacks and go back to the studio was a bit complicated. So they say the letters are good, but it's not bold enough. Maybe you can do it bolder. So you have this, on the spray cans, you have the thing called fat cap to make the line much bigger. So I have to do it again, and it was really hard to find a place because it was in a winter in Paris, it was really cold. So first at the beginning, I did it in my balcony on top. So it was my balcony of my place. And I did with a much bolder cap, and I made a lot of Provoque le Destin this way. I make so much. I don't know how many I make, but it was too cold, so I came back to my garage down. I went in my garage, and I tried to make the more Provoque le Destin type I can, because the problem is that if you don't do a lot, there is one shape that is not good, when you will scan it, the art director of Nike will say, oh, I don't want you to change this shape and this shape, but I have to do it again, so it's complicated. So I made, I don't know how many, I think that I scanned something like 100 meters of roll. So it was really, really big. It was in the big architect scanners. So 100 meters of typography from Provoque le Destin. So it was really tough. It was a big struggle. I spent a lot of time. I had an assistant with me to help me with the rolls, everything, because alone it was so hard. And at the end, the project is finished. The type is they agree with the types. They accept it, and at the end, it's just this one. So as you can see, it was a big struggle. I spent a lot of time. I had a lot of feedbacks, and at the end, this is the final one that you can see. And the crazy part of this job and this story is that it was to promote the jersey of the French team of football, and the thing is that we was not supposed to be qualified for the World Cup. So for the World Cup 2 years ago, if we were not qualified for the World Cup, the type won't be released and no one will see it. So I will have spent like 1 month full, and no one will see it. So I was like really stressing, for the French team to win the last game they were supposed to win to be qualified to the World Cup. So I remember that I was at the Stade de France, the stadium where the game was. It was France against Ukraine. So they were supposed to win 3-0 to win the match and to be qualified for the World Cup, because at the first match they lost 2-0 against Ukraine. Sometimes France are not so good. But so we won 3-0. It was crazy. I think I like football, but I've never been like so involved into a game. And just at the moment where we won, when the game was over, I can see everywhere in the stadium the type Provoque le Destin everywhere in the stadium. I was like shocked, like I was with one of my best friends. He has the videos of me like wow, crazy like this. And just after that, on the Facebook page of Nike Football, you can see this visual. So it was, honestly, it was crazy because, everyone said, wow, it's you did this job, it's crazy. And it was crazy because, it's for the French team, it's a big brand, it's a brand that I really love. And, people don't know that it's a big struggle before doing this type. And because people that know my work knew that I spend a lot of time on illustration, doing color pencil and stuff. And when they saw it, they're like, oh, that's it? But okay, that's cool. And so it was really different from all the job that I did before because it was much more spontaneous. But even in this fact that I think that's really interesting also, because the fact that it's really spontaneous, it's much more look like a sport typography. If I take so much time, 4 days on an illustration, it won't be as as spontaneous as it's supposed to be for sport brand. So for me, it was really, really cool, to have a job like this for Nike. A lot of people in Paris, in France, and say that it was a cool job, because you can see everywhere in Paris. Everywhere it was in Paris, even in the Champs-Élysées. It was in the Nike shop in the Champs-Élysées. So I think it was a real chance for me to be able to have it. So people don't know that it's a competition against other typographers. Then you spend a lot of time in your garage, in your balcony, in your studio. They just see this and say, he's a lucky guy. But it's a struggle first. So it was really interesting for me, because, since that, I realized that, okay, I spend so much days, hours to draw with pencil, with color pencil, with different tools. But I never assumed to do something quick with like with a brush or with a marker. But I realized that people, more and more, like I show you for the rosé type, they say, we like this type, can you do something like this? They ask me more and more to do something spontaneous this way, because it really fits like to sports brand most. So I made a lot of different typography with brush like this. And I realized that I felt really comfortable with working on spontaneous type like this. So this was for the video clip of Ellie Goulding. So it's all the lyrics that I wrote. This kind of type that I did for, on the left it was for a personal project, on the right it was for Nike. So it's really different aspect from what I'm doing, what I showed you before, all the illustration. But I think that it's maybe stronger, because it's really spontaneous, it's really strong, and then when you put just a swoosh down, you know that it's about sport and it's about dynamic. And so I made a lot of work for football. Like I said, I like football. I'm not the biggest fan of football on earth, but I like it. So it was a good chance for me to be able to work with Nike on different typography for football. So I made different posters like this for the French team. And so I don't know why. I think I became the French typographer for all the football events in France. And I made a lot of different type like this. And ici c'est Paris. I show you ici c'est Paname. Here it's Paname. Here it's Paris. This is what it means. Nike asked me to do it. So it's funny, because I did the T-shirts with the brand I show you, Bleu de Paname. And few years after that, like 5 years after that, they asked me to make the Ici c'est Paris, the official line of it. So football is cool, It's really cool to work with brand like Nike with it. I really like it, and I think that's it's cool, but it's never been like a goal for me to work with Nike and all these brands. It's really cool, I cannot lie to you and say that, oh no, it's not cool to work with Nike, because for me, for the people who know my work, most of them knew my work thanks to the Nike job that I did. So that's cool, but I need to show them what I did first before that. And working with football can be really cool, but sometimes it can be really different. And I really want to show you one of for me, the more interesting project that I did. And it was for an association. So it was for the United Nations. And it's still about football, but it's really different, and I'm going to show you why. So it was I made a video with a guy, with the director, and he called me and said, I'm working with the United Nations, with the association named World Food Program, and he's talk about so it's a campaign that they was about to do with a big football player. So at the beginning it was a bit weird, the brief was like, it's a big football player. It's like it's for United Nations, so when it's United Nations, you're like, wow, it's big, it's really cool for me, I really want to do it. But they asked me to make like 50 different fonts in only 1 week. I had only 1 week to make 50 fonts. It was really big. So, they asked me, okay, we have 50 names, we want you to design 50 names, and we will tell you what is this name. So I wasn't able to make the 50 names. I made only the half, so I made 25 names. And they explained to me what was the deal of the campaign. So as you can see, I'm writing John, I'm writing Mason. So these names was a child in the world. They choose like a different person, different child who are suffering from hunger in the world. And they live in different countries. They're everywhere in the world. Sometimes they are in Cambodia, in Africa, in Philippines, everywhere in the world. They can have this program, the World Food Program. They help them to feed, and so they give them a lot of food. And so they say, this is the campaign, this is the idea. We want you to write all the name of those children. And every name that I had a briefing of each name that I had. Like, for example, John, Omar, No. And the briefing was the story of this child. Every time, it was a bit tough to read because it was the story of these persons are crazy, They are suffering from hunger. Something that we cannot really understand when you are from Paris, when you are in Caldash, It's something that suffering from hunger is far away for us, but it's crazy, We have to be aware of it. So they asked me to draw all the type for these persons. And they say, okay, so we're going to put this type on the body of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, so the football player. It will be tattooed on his body, and then during another game, he will put off his jersey, and everyone will be able to see the type. And people, for sure, they won't understand what's happening. Why do he has all this type on it? Why he has all these names of these children on it? But people will be aware of these people who are dying, suffering from hunger today. So I made all these different type, and it was tattooed on the Zlatan Ibrahimovic body, like this. And I think that I won't explain you more. I just want to show you this is during the match. And I'm going to show you the video because it explains much more what's happening. So this is, yeah, thank you. So every time I see this video, I'm like, wow, it's crazy because I didn't realize when I had the brief of this campaign that it wasn't paid. I didn't care about it, but it wasn't paid because it's for an association. But I didn't have time to do it because the week they asked me to work on it, I was so busy at my office. They say, but we need you to do this campaign, and I'm like, yeah, but for the next week, I'm like, I have so much work to do. It's crazy. How can I do it? So I didn't sleep a lot. I did a lot of all this type, and when I was in the stadium also, and the crazy part of the story is that he was supposed to pull off his jersey at the end of the game, but we knew that if he put off at the end of the game, the camera are over. We don't care. It's finished. The game is finished. So he said that he wants to put a goal to put a goal during the game, and then pull off his jersey. But he's not supposed to do it. So when you put off your jersey during the game, you have a red card and you cannot play after that. So he did. So it's crazy because the game started, and only 2 minutes after the game started, he scored the way you saw it. And then I was at the stadium like, what? Already? He put off his jersey, and we know that if he do it, he will have a red card and he won't be able to play the match after this one. But this guy is a really good guy, and he said, I don't care, I just want people to be aware of these names, of this campaign. And it was crazy because himself also, he didn't earn any money for it. It was just because for him, it's really important. He's immigrants, and his parents are immigrants, and it was a crazy campaign. Sometimes you're working for a cool brand, you're working for cool stuff, and sometimes you have the chance to have that kind of campaign was happening, and it's crazy because I really didn't realize how big it was and how great it was when I had the brief, and I realized that, okay, I have to do it. I did it. And I never thought it could be as strong as it is today. So thanks to that, they had a lot of donation. The association had so much donation. It was crazy because it was a big success. Because as you see the video, but it's the video of the, before it was the release of the video. During 2 days, so he scored the goal. Then you see these pictures, you see everywhere, all the magazine talked about why do he has all these tattoos. And people didn't know why he had these tattoos. So during 2 days, a lot of medias about football, about a lot of different medias said, why do he has so much tattoos? So they showed the photos of him 1 week before the game. He hadn't as much tattoos, and the photos now. So a lot of people talked about it, and 2 days after that, they make a big press conference. They show the video, and now everyone was able to understand what was happening with his tattoos and his body. So this is the kind of job, I was not expecting to work with Nike. I was not expecting to work with that kind of project of great association. But this is that kind of job that make you love more and more the job that you're doing, really. Like, I love my job, but doing things like this, being able to make the people aware of that kind of issue in the world is just totally crazy. So I think we should talk about something cooler and more chill. So I want to talk about the different references that I have, because as you can see, even the type that I made for Zlatan, there are so much different references that I have about tattoo design, about, I love the sports, US sports design, like logos of baseball team, logos of, I love the signs also, a lot of signs, French signs everywhere in the world. So having references is really important. And I want to talk about this guy named Herb Lubalin. So Lubalin is a big reference for me, like one of the biggest reference I have. It's a typographer that he was, this wall that you can see was made in the 60s, so it was more than 50 years ago. And he made it in the cantina of CBS, the channel CBS. So he made all the dishes and the drinks that you can have in the cantina. And he made everything in 3D. And it's crazy because he made it 50 years ago, but it still looks really modern. And I was really influenced by this guy who bring the typography to another level. And not only like I try to do today with my humble case, and not with something only to read, but something that you can see, an illustration, something really smart. So from this legacy, from this visual, which is a big reference for me, my friend from Barbershop, the restaurant I showed you at the beginning, he asked me to make a new illustration. So he said, okay, let's try to make a new illustration, to make something different, and to change a bit. So I was like, okay. I show him the wall of Herb Lubalin, and I say, okay, this is something that I really like. Maybe we can do something like this with all the dishes that you have in your menu, all the drinks that you have in your menu. And I made this big fresco. So it's like 1 meter. And I draw every type that every dishes, every drink that he had in his menu. So I think he had more than 40, something like this. So it was really long process. As you can see, it starts with a big rough like this, and then with the black pencil, like I show you, with the different lines to make the shades. I try to make the volume of it. So this was really cool because I was really free. Once again, he paid with burgers, with cheeseburgers, fish burgers. So it was really cool. But I spent 4 days on it. But I really want to keep experimenting and keep trying things like this. So at the end, this is the menu. Remember I show you the first menu, and then it became these big ones. When you open it, on the back, you can see every meals, every dishes, and every drinks that there is in the restaurants. So everything is always handmade, like I show you. Another big reference for me is neon signs. I love neon signs. It's part of the American culture. And with graffiti, with hip-hop culture, everything, like I show you, I'm really close to American culture. I really love it. And neon signs is really important for me. So this is the photos I take a photo. I didn't. It's not a drawing. Huh? Be careful. I take the photos in Las Vegas when I was in the museum of neon signs, and so it's a museum where they put a lot of neon signs, like a cemetery of neons. It's crazy. It's like the paradise for me. You know, I was all around all this typography. I was walking around this typography. It was really crazy, and it's really inspired me a lot. Like, you know, it reminded me the first illustration I show you, barbershop with the B, the A, the O. It's really like, it was a bit the same, you know, the same feeling that I have when I was walking on this museum to see the letters like this. So as you can see, it really inspired me, and I made a lot of different artwork inspired by these neon signs. So on the left, as you can see the word peace. You can see down there is things on the floor. It's really close to what you can see on this picture. Because I was really influenced, inspired. I remember I was in the museum and I'm like, oh, I should do an illustration with the letters like this, and then on the floor I will put something some stones on the floor like this. And so I had this brief from a client, says they want me to write Mix for Peace. And so I did this thing on the left, exactly the kind of inspiration that I have when I was in the museum. Then on the right, it's another illustration I made with neon signs also. So it was for Spotify, and they wanted me to illustrate a song. We talked about, like, it was really like a cool song, and it talked about, I take 4 different words that look really important in the song, and I made like it was like Broadway and in the New York street like this. I made this for a cover magazine. It's a French magazine about graphic design. The name was Fabula. And I was like, okay, let's try to make a big neon signs about Fabula. So I made this little rabbit on top to talk about the whole Fabula. So I think that the neon sign inspired me a lot because it really reminded me what I did with graffiti few years before, you know, with the 3D, with the big impact on the typography. So I made also another cover of a magazine. So as you can see, it always starts with a sketch. Like, I show you a lot of sketches, and even if you see something like this and like this on the computer, it's always starts with a really clean sketch who looks really like the same than the final artwork. So they asked me to make the cover of the magazine, Les Inrecuptibles. It's a big magazine in France. It's a really big one. So it was the issue number 1000. So they asked me to make an illustration, and I came back from Las Vegas, and I was like, okay, I have to make these big neon signs. And this is the cover of the magazine. So as you can see from the sketch to the final project, it's really close. It really looks like. So I think that the neon sign is really important for me. It's really part of my job and what I really like. And I'm able to work on it with illustration, and also I'm able to do it on murals like this. So this is a murals. This is something I made with spray cans. And you know, I have this knowledge about, thanks to graffiti, I like to work with spray cans. I really love it. And so I was like, okay, let's try to combine what I like now, what I'm doing now with typography, with neon sign, with all these references, and to bring it to the walls. And not the same way I did it with graffiti when I was younger, but something much more easy to read and who looks much more from what I'm doing today. So I made murals like this. So it really reminds, you know, also the neon signs. And so my references on neon signs, I'm able to show it also in the walls that I'm doing with spray cans like this. So for me, it was really cool because I was able to go back to murals and not do only project in my office. And I was like, okay, I know how to do graffiti, but now I can combine both of the knowledge that I have. So I had this fresco in a big building in Paris. It's a company who asked me to make something really free to talk about the name of the company's future brand. So I talked about future, and I did it also with spray cans, and it's really cool because, you know, I'm able to make different typography, but doing really bigger than what I'm doing when I'm working on a paper, on a A3 or A4 format. So it was really interesting. This one was in Australia. I didn't paint on the tree. It's on Photoshop for the tree because it was like, okay, I cannot read what I've wrote, so I just had these Photoshop tricks, just to understand. So it's really cool because it's you remember the reference I show you for the car art illustration with different type lettering and letterpress, and I'm able to do it also on a mural. So I try to bring all the inspiration, all the thing that I really like into all my process, into my illustration, into my graffiti. I think that everything that I'm doing, I try to have like a real connection on everything. And not only like this is identity, this is illustration, this is murals. I really try to combine everything. So you saw the t-shirt I made for car art. It looks like the same, It looks like the letterpress, but with graffiti, with spray cans. This is a mural I made. It's funny because we made it like less than 1 year. And it's I'm on the right. On my left, there is my best friend, Ilk. And we work together like the word harmony that you see on the graffiti that I show you at the old beginning. It was, like 10 years ago. And today also, we are still working together. So me now, I worked the name Utopia, Utopia. And he made the word freedom. So I know it's hard to read, freedom, but he made the word freedom. On the left, there is a F. Between the U and the T, it's a R. Then it's a E. So it's a combination between freedom and utopia. So his work, he really, it's funny because in 10 years, I really evolved doing really clean typography, something that it's really easy to read. And he evolved in doing something much more graffiti, And this is crazy because we're still the best friends and we're still working together. And finally, we have really different styles, but it can fit together. Because I talked about collaboration, but collaboration is really, really important for me. And I have a few projects that I will show you after that you will see different collaborations. This is a fresco I made in an office. I made it like last week in an office in Paris. This is a wall I made in Poland, in Gdynia. So the cool part of that kind of job is like, it's a big wall. It's like 14 meters wall. I'm really small down. It's really cool because, they ask me to do whatever I want. They say, okay, let's do what you want. And just in front of this wall, there is a big building, like the one you see behind, far away. There is a big building, and I was like, okay, people who will wake up in the morning and open their windows, I want them to have a nice message, So I was like, okay, let's try to make a good morning Gdynia. Gdynia is the name of the city. And I remember when I was writing it, a lot of people from the building in front came to see me, say, oh, thank you so much. It's crazy now we can see something positive because they hated the mural it was before. Before they had the bad murals, with a lot of, honestly, it was not good. And they say, okay, it's cool because we have a positive message and we can see it every day when we open our windows. So it's pretty cool. And this is a kind of murals really different from what I'll just show you. It's really different. This is an anamorphosis. This is in a hotel corridor. So in the hotel, they say, okay, we want you to do something in our hotel. But this was really hard to do. There is not a big walls like flat walls like I'm used to it. So I was thinking about doing this anamorphosis. So I projected a big G like this, and I painted a lot of different names. Why? Because the hotel is named Gaston, the Hotel Gaston. Gaston is the name. And I was like, okay, let's do a big G, and I will fill this big G with a lot of names starting by G. So this is what I did, and as you can see, when you enter in the corridor, you can see the big G, and then when you are inside, you cannot see the G no more. So it's nice because I like to experiment, to keep experimenting, even in front of a wall. It's really interesting to see from typography how typography can be interpreted in different places. So this one was a corridor, and I was not able to make a flat wall, so this was the idea. And I think that the fact that experimenting is always really, really important in my job. And I always try to experiment with different mediums, with different tools and different mediums. So for example, for this one, I try to make it with wood. So I try to find someone who's working on wood, who's doing sculpture on wood. And once again, I use my references as with the lettering, the lettering references that I show you with car art, with playground type. And I was like, okay, let's try to combine all the letters, like to write as we are. And we made it with a guy doing sculpture on wood. And I think it brings something much more creative than if you're just alone in your office working on your own project. And here is the visual finally. And having different tricks too is really important for me. Like I work with a guy who's doing rings and doing a jeweler. So I just wrote the name Panam. So Panam is Paris. And I say, okay, maybe we can do like a ring. And the guy say, okay, let's do it together. So I draw the thing and say, or maybe you can open the E so the P can enter, or as you can see on the right. So it's a real collaboration. We're talking together, I'm drawing, and it's just really cool. So I wear this ring during 3 years, but I lost it last summer. So I don't want to see this visual no more. And this is another collaboration I made. This is made with clay. It's a friend of mine who work a lot with clay. Her name is Alexandra Bruel. And we had this idea to do wish cards together. Let's do a wish card for 2014. So she made clay, I make typography, so let's try to combine it together. So I made a quick sketch on the top left like this. So obviously we talked together before doing it. And she was building all the letters that I showed that I sent her. She was building it with clay. So at the end, this is the visual that we made. And it's a really good thing to collaborate because I'm not able to do what she does. And she doesn't draw typography. So the fact that collaborating with different people that are able to do something really different but really cool together is much more rich and more creative than if you are just alone in your office. And sometimes, it's a new perspective that you don't really have. Or for example, this job with Nike, they asked me to make a typography, and they wanted to make it with a 3D print. So I made the type that you see on the left, on the top left. I made it on Illustrator, on the Sketch first, and then on Illustrator. And then they make it on the right with the 3D printer. So it's always funny to see your typography living in something really different than just a sheet of paper or wall. And having something in 3D like this is always really, really interesting. Last but not least, I want to show you one of my favorite projects because it's something really important for me. And it's first I have to show you the history of the thing. So as you can see on the left, this is an illustration I made with Ilk, once again, my best friend. So my name is Tyrsa. So I made this type Tyrsa Missu, and his name is Ilk, I-L-K, and he make the name Ilk Flottante. So I don't know if you know Ilk Flottante, what it is. It's a French dessert, and tiramisu is a dessert, Italian dessert too. So it was just a joke. We were at the restaurant. There is on the menu there is tiramisu and Ilk Flottante in the menu, and we're like, okay, let's call tiramisu and Ilk Flottante just to joke. It was first of all it was just a joke. So it begins with as you can see here on the left, it begins with an illustration like this. Then we made a blog like this, you can see on the right. So this blog was like more than 8 years ago, something like this. So we are able to, when you click here, it's Tyrsa Missu, this is my blog. And when you click here, it's Ilk Flottante, it's the blog of my friend. And then today also, you can see that Tyrsa Missu is my name on Instagram. It's still my name on Instagram, in Twitter, in everywhere. So it's a nickname that I have, it's Tyrsa and Tyrsa Missu. So since that, I had this crazy idea to make something more than just a name. I met a pastry chef more than 1 year ago, 2 years ago. We worked with a pastry chef on a little packaging together 2 years ago. And he said after that, I'm going to launch a brand new bakery and a new pastry, so maybe we can do something together. Let's do a cake, let's do a pastry, let's do something together. And I remember that the brainstorming just was only 2 minutes of brainstorming. Sometimes you have good projects, you spend months to find an idea, and I think in 2 minutes only we had the idea because he said, I want to make a cake with you. And I said, oh, I like to do cakes with you because my name is Tyrsa Missu on the social networks. And he said, oh, but let's do a Tyrsa Missu. I'm like, okay, let's do a tiramisu. So we had this great, crazy idea to combine my letters, all the references that I show you about letter fonts like this, or about the old printer, and to combine all the letters and to do a cake all together. So we spent so much time to do drawings, to try two things, because it was not just a drawing, it was something that I show him the draw, and he say, I cannot do it as a pastry. So it was a really different aspect for me, because I was able just not to only draw and to show it and to know if people like it or not. I was able to do something in 3D, and that a pastry chef is supposed to do in real life. So we did something like this. So it was crazy because, the exchange was amazing. We talked about taste. We talked about a lot of different things. It was the first time that I didn't thought that I would be able to do a pastry like this. So it was really different for me because we talked about how it's going to look, how it's going to feel, what the taste is going to have. So we talked about, I said that I love fruits, I love coconuts, and he said, okay, and he writes everything, and he tried to do the best thing that can really look like what I'm doing. So it was a real exchange. It was one of my favorite collaboration, because it's the more interesting, because it starts with the typographer, then it goes with a pastry chef, and then it's finished with this pastry. So this pastry was like everywhere during 3 months. You were able to eat and to order the pastry in the pastry of Benoît Castel is his name Liberté, and you were able to buy it. So once again, like the champagne, I bring it at Christmas to my mother's place because we had to work in. And we made a nice video to talk about this project, and here it is. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that you liked it. Yeah? Cool. So I made this little type for the city. I didn't know the city looks really nice, and I made this type for last week when I was at the office before coming. So, do you have any questions? I know the teachers say that sometimes you're a bit shy and you don't want to ask some question, but you can, I'm sure. There are a few there.
Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask, you talked about your successful works and projects.
Yeah.
And failure being part of the process. I wanted to ask if you had any completely failure projects, stories that didn't work at all with companies or your own projects?
My own project that doesn't work? Sorry, it's not, I didn't really understand.
Okay.
I didn't
the question is if you have any completely failure works.
Oh yeah.
Projects that didn't work at all.
Oh, it's often happened, yeah.
Do you have any story?
Now less and less, because now I can understand that sometimes you have a client, and at the beginning when he talks to you and when you realize sometimes that he doesn't really know your work, and he asks you to do something because people talked about you, and he say, okay, let's work with this guy, and sometimes he asks you something that really is not something that you are comfortable with. You're trying hard to do something, but it doesn't work. When you know there is not the the thing with the clients, sometimes it doesn't work. So yeah, there is a lot of failure. Now less and less because I can understand when the client call me and say, I want this, I can understand that it won't fit, it won't work with the guy, but I remember that, yeah, I had some really hard moments. I remember that one of the first project I had to do posters for a competition of golf tournament, you know. And I spent like 5 days to work on different tracks. And I spent like, I had 3 tracks to do, 3 different posters, and at the end, they accept only one posters, and they say, we're going to pay you only for the day you spend on this project, because the days you spent before on the other tracks was not good. So we don't want to pay you for what you did before. And I was like, really? So, you know, it's sometime, and so I said to them, okay, so you don't pay me at all, and that's over, because, you know, it was not respectful at all. So now I try to work with people that respect my work, and then I respect their work. And so they are not so much failure, but they are still, you know. Sometimes you think that it's going to be a great project with a great client, and sometimes it's not good at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that it was very good to hear you speak. It was nice to know that somebody actually does what they really like in life, and it's an inspiration.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for these words. I really appreciate it. I think that's really important. You had at the beginning when I started doing graffiti, I didn't thought that I was able to spend my whole life doing what I like. And you know, when my parents didn't do what they liked, no one are in the artistic environment around in my family, you know. So they didn't understand why I did this, you know. Like, why you do graffiti? There is no one is an artist in the family. Why you do graffiti? So then when I said to them, I want to do a school, art design school, they didn't understand at all. So it was pretty hard. But it was a real passion. So I really want to do it, and so I did this. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Tyrsa.
Thank you.